What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast. This morning, I had promised that we were going to have Dr. Victor on from BreatherMae, but we've had a little setback, and so we need another week to get together all of the things to make sure that the orders will go through for all of the blood work for you guys that are interested. And there's been a lot of that have reached out, so just stand by for that. I apologize for the wait. But today I'm going to dive into something that I think is going to lead us right into our episode next week with Dr. Victor from BreatherMae. So that's recovery. We're coming off a busy season. Everyone's fired up to get strong. And, we still have to look at understanding that the gains, all of the things, the adaptations from training happen during recovery. They aren't necessarily happening during training. So let's break this down. Recovery hierarchy. 3 pillars stand out to me here: sleep, nutrition, stress management. You don't grow in the gym, you grow when you recover. Well, let's talk about sleep. We've talked about this a lot on the show. This is our body's master reset button. If your sleep is off, nothing else is going to work. And I can tell you that right now because my sleep has been absolute garbage lately. Just when you think you have sleep training figured out with a 9-month-old, he reminds you that you don't. So I've been getting very little sleep, and I know that I'm just cognitively, my brain is not working like it usually does. I'm saying stupid things. I don't think I've done that yet, but it'll happen here on this episode. I'm just slower at getting things done. The biggest thing to remember when it comes to recovering from exercise is sleep is when the growth hormone spikes. This is where the tissues repair, and this is where our brain gets to sort through the stress that we're putting it through each day. Let's think of another example. Rodeo athlete. You guys, girls, you can work out, lift, do your mobility, stretch, train perfectly. But if you're consistently getting 4 hours of broken sleep, on the side of the road in your truck or not in a good bed, your nervous system never gets a chance to reset, and you're really just digging a deeper hole instead of climbing out of it. So think about sleep. Are we getting enough? We'll talk about that in a minute. Next pillar, nutrition. And Coach Logan has harped on this so many times on this show. If you haven't heard any of our nutrition episodes, make sure you go back and listen to those. There's tons of information in those. But bottom line, you cannot recover from what you don't fuel. Nutrition isn't sexy or fancy. It's your basic macronutrients: proteins, carbs, fats, hydration. I think about nutrition like the building materials for a fence. Sleep is the construction crew, the guys building it. But if you don't give the guys any boards or nails, they can't rebuild the fence no matter how long they work. So you can see nutrition is paramount, has to go together with the sleep. And the next thing that has to go together with those two things is our stress management. And this really is the glue that holds the first two together. Stress raises cortisol. Chronic cortisol crushes testosterone, slows recovery, wrecks sleep. So we're driving all night, we're juggling entries, we're worrying about bills, chugging caffeine to stay awake. We might as well be sprinting uphill with a weighted vest on because our system is not going to be able to keep up. So let's break it down real quick again. The hierarchy goes like this. Sleep gives you the time. Nutrition gives you the resources. Stress management gives you the environment for recovery to actually happen. All right, we're going to dive into sleep a little bit deeper here. We'll call this Sleep 101. It really is the most underrated PED, performance enhancer. Sleep isn't just resting, it's active recovery. Your cycle through, if you don't know what the cycles of sleep are, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, each stage handles a different job. And so let's talk about that for a second. Deep sleep is where our tissues start to repair. We rebuild muscle. We release the growth hormone. REM sleep handles our mental recovery, our motor learning, our memory, our coordination. 7 to 9 hours to complete 4 to 5 full sleep cycles. Anything less than that, we're really short-circuiting the body's recovery. And I can guarantee majority of us are not getting 7 to 9 hours. You have to intentionally try and get that. And another thing, our body's clock runs on light. Blue light from our phone tells our brain it's daytime, which delays the melatonin. So if we're scrolling through Instagram at 11 p.m. on our phone or after a performance, our brain thinks it's 3 p.m. It's like, good luck getting into that deep sleep before 2 a.m. Some things like tactical tips that we could do. 30 to 60 minutes tech cutoff. So just turn your phone off 30 to 60 minutes. Don't turn it off. Try not to be on it scrolling 30 to 60 minutes before you sleep. Something I've done is I just replace that with stretching, or my wife has been journaling a lot, or reading. It's much easier for me to fall asleep when I'm doing those types of things than I is on my phone. The cold, dark room. This is a really big thing. In 65 to 67 degrees, darkness triggers melatonin release. So we want to make sure that no lights are shining off of TVs or anything. Just make sure it's as dark as possible. This is a big one. And it's funny because, again, the sleep training my kid, it's like consistent bedtimes and wake times, even on weekends, is going to be the best way for you to get the best rhythms of sleep. And this is a big one that I think a lot of people do not think about, but do not drink caffeine 8 hours before bed. 8 hours seems like a long time, because I know at 2 or 3 p.m. everyone's like, damn, I could use a cup of coffee right now. But the amount of time that stays in your system and will disrupt your rhythm of getting to bed and the sleep patterns is pretty crazy. I know all of us coaches have gone through realizing we were consuming far too much caffeine and having to moderate it, and then thinking, at first it doesn't help, but feeling the effects of when your body actually does get into those deep sleep, REM, multiple times, it does change everything about your recovery and how your body's working. All right, let's talk about hormones and recovery. I think there's some things here that have a hidden connection. What we don't think about is the hormones really run the show when it comes to recovery. The two main players, cortisol, which is our go hormone, and testosterone, which is our rebuild hormone. How those things work together. Cortisol should rise in the morning when you wake up and drop at night so you can rest. When it flips, usually from chronic stress, late nights, caffeine, testosterone is going to drop, inflammation is going to rise, recovery is going to be trash. We can see it in people who live on Red Bulls and adrenaline. They wake up exhausted. They cannot fall asleep at night. Strength and focus tank. Cortisol is running their entire life. Poor sleep alone can lower your testosterone by 10 to 15% in just a week. If we add stress, sugar, no recovery time, you're looking at fatigue, irritability, and slowing all of the gains you're trying to make. You cannot out-supplement a broken circadian rhythm. You have to get that all dialed. Big picture, stress raises the cortisol. Poor sleep amplifies cortisol. Cortisol crushes testosterone. We've got to fix the rhythm, and then your performance will skyrocket naturally. All right, how do we optimize recovery without all of the fancy tools? I'm talking about red light, cryo, all these things you see on Instagram. You don't need all that. What you need, and we say this with everything, is consistency. First, movement as your recovery. Think about this. All right, low intensity work, walking, easy mobility, nasal breathing. This flushes waste, lowers your nervous system stress. A 20-minute walk after dinner does more for recovery than another ice bath you hate doing. 2, fueling your post-training. The post-training, we've talked about this before, but you have to have the protein and carbs within 30 minutes after training or completing the session. Or competing at a rodeo. For example, and this is not the healthiest, but it will work, a simple combo like chocolate milk or, and these are not together, chocolate milk does not go with these things, you could have a steak and a potato. That hits everything you need for glycogen refuel and amino acids for repair. Third thing, our hydration and minerals. Sodium, magnesium, potassium drive every recovery process. If we're sweating all day in the sun, only sipping on water, we're competing, we're drenched in salt, not drinking a lot of water, you're watering down your electrolytes. You need salt to hold the water in your muscles. So adding a electrolyte supplement would be a great option. 4, our sleep consistency. Like I said, this is the most underrated PED, but this is the cheapest, most natural testosterone booster there is out there, and that's a sleep schedule. Get in rhythm, your hormones will follow suit. The basics work if you actually do them consistently. Let's wrap this section up. Sleep, nutrition, stress management, they're our foundation. You aren't being lazy. It's being strategic. I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves, like, I have to keep going. This other person's out there doing this, but what's that other person's recovery game look like? Because at the end of the day, everything we just talked about, if your recovery is not dialed, all that training that you're doing, all the work you're putting in, your skill-specific training, whether it's a drop barrel, a bucking machine, rope and dummy, whatever, it's going nowhere if you're not recovering from those things. Recovery is what lets you show up stronger tomorrow. Stop skipping it and chasing more volume. Start being smarter about your recovery. Your training will skyrocket on performance. All right, for real. Next week, you will get the episode where I sit down with Dr. Victor from BreatherMae, and it's going to take this all to the next level. From hormones, gut health, functional testing, you're not going to want to miss that one. So make sure to, if you haven't, please subscribe to the show. It is the biggest way you can help us, and send it to a friend that you think would enjoy our content. A couple other things from Champion Living crew. The Champion Living app we are working on this thing hard. So I am adding programs to it. I'm going to break it down into just 2 memberships. I think right now it's a lot to look at. There's a membership for every single plan, and I'm just going to break it down to both sides of the arena. Rough stock, timed event. You'll get access to either all the rough stock plans or all the timed event plans, plus some bonus content. I'm going to throw some mobility plans on there. We're updating. There's free PDFs for you guys to check out and download from our coaches. So if you haven't downloaded the Champion Living Fitness app, do that when you can. Apple App Store, Google Play Store, type in Champion Living Fitness. It's free to download. Again, $19.99 per month. You get access to each side of the arena is going to get access to over, I think the rough stock was like 13 or 11 plans, programs, and the timed event is 8 or 9 programs right now. We're adding a steer wrestling, and we just added, we're calling the dismount athlete, which is every athlete that has to get off their horse during their run. Calf ropers, goat tires, steer wrestlers even could jump in on this. It's really targeting the things that are different from every other event compared to y'all. So y'all check that out. It's really just, we want to bring you guys as much information as we can and give you guys as many options as you can to see what our training is like. You can make the decision yourself if you're ready to invest in the individualized training, working with a coach one-on-one. I sat down with the coaches yesterday in our meeting, and we were talking about the return on investment from our athletes. On average, it's somewhere between 7 to 10x their investment on their yearly return. So again, all of those people getting that return are doing the one thing we said is the most important no matter what you do. They're consistent. They trust the process. They trust their coaches. They communicate with their coaches, and they see the results and reap the benefits of all that. So I encourage you all to work on that recovery. We're going to get into some strength training with the guys here in an episode coming up very soon. I know I've been kind of going out of order on the off season, but I want to make sure we're talking about the fundamentals and the foundation that are going to propel that training the furthest for you. Y'all, if you don't have a plan, download the app. There's also links in the app to get access to a free consultation call with one of the coaches and ask questions about individualized coaching, what the differences are between the app and that, and how we can really help you take your game to the next level. You do not have to be a rodeo athlete to be a part of the Champion Living family. We have tons of programs on the app that are just for people that want to be badasses in everyday life. We have a backcountry plan on there for outdoors men, outdoors women that like to hunt, get in the mountains. I'm bringing a lot more programs to that end as well. There'll be some functional fitness for guys. There is already functional fitness for females on there. There's a body weight only program that you can do anywhere. So encourage you to check that out. We've got some big announcements coming with the app in the next month or two that I will be keeping you guys in the loop on. Until next time, we'll catch you guys later.